Hello, everybody. Thank you for getting together so we can talk about some certain situations going on in our community. Question that we could answer right now is how would you define our classroom community? Do I answer the first one? Is it a question? You want to answer the first one? Okay. So I said being with my friends and being in this classroom, getting to know all of you, I think we can help each other moving on into different places, like encourage each other more to follow our dreams. Just push each other to open new doors that we never thought was possible for us because we are in the community. That's what I think of. Thank you.
I would say our classroom community is at peace. Because I know that here we're all friends and we all may fight. Like, we're a family and we're always gonna be together. And that's why I say our classroom community is peace.
Thank you for sharing. Is it on classroom community or just classroom? Oh, okay. In my opinion, classroom community, we all be there for each other, keep each other's heads up. We all brothers. We might play fight at times, but we good. But how would I define the outside community? I said, in my opinion, to me, it's dangerous because you have to watch your surroundings at all times.
Thank you for the answer, David. I agree with David. Right? With me right here, all of us here, we should encourage each other. And the community outside is different than the community up here. Here we're safe, we know everything, we know each other, and outside we might not know everything. But thank you for your answers. How would I define our community? Like what Jonathan, David, and Ray and Rasan was saying, it's safer when we're encouraging each other, and then the outside is not safe. And like what David was saying, you have to look at your surroundings from other things and stuff.
Thank you for your answer. The Lord has put the same thing when it comes to everybody else.
Thank you for all your answers. Before Ray wraps this up, one of the things that stood out to me is that there's a clear difference between our culture and our community here and what you guys see outside. So when David is talking about it being dangerous outside, like, I know there are certain streets you can't go down. There are certain times of day you can't be outside. So we had to do a lot of work to make this classroom a certain way. We need to work to make the outside community receptive to that so that you guys don't feel insecure, so you don't feel like you're in danger. And I know it's personally affected you, David. Like, you've seen it firsthand. And that's got to be, that's something that nobody should have to go through. So I thank you all for sharing. And I want to give this to her.
Thank you, Ms. Risa, for your amazing encouragement answer. So we're gonna go straight to the other one. How can we help people become restorative? How might we help our communities? the way that I see things is that we can help everyone by showing them the past and what Martin Luther King Jr. did for our like equality and everything. We show them the past, and if nothing else happens, we can show them like the future, and if we keep following his footsteps, how everything else will change in our community and maybe lead up to a peaceful world. So just following those footsteps can help us a lot.
Thank you, Ray, for your great answer. I believe how we can make our community restorative would be have our community come together for a community project, and we just like start gardening or like just do community service, or have everybody come together as one, and we'll probably be able to get to know each other.
How can we make people become restorative? That's like calm. Okay.
We're also restorative, like working with one another.
Just have conversations that's like make people go off of what that's on their mind. How might we help our community? I don't think nobody can help my community because of the rival games, because it's too close, and it's just like they all hate each other. So I don't know.
Thank you for sharing. I keep coming back to David's comment because it feels sometimes like there's no hope, because that gang situation has existed for a long time, and there's nobody having a dialogue about it, right? This is the street I was born on. These are my people. This is the street I was born on. I'm your enemy. There's no dialogue between the two sides. And I think of it in terms of like what we discussed with like police brutality. There's no dialogue there between the people that have been hurt and the people that have done the hurting, the oppressors and the people that feel oppressed, right? So unless we can make that effort to bring people into a safe place to actually speak to each other, we're not healing. We've been able to do that in here, we know it's possible. We need to brainstorm how we can get those parties together, though, into a safe place.
Thank you, Mr. Yusuf, for that answer. Just want to add something before we move on to Rasan's answer about maybe building a community garden. That's really good. Kind of reminds me of the book that we read, Seed Folks. We can do that. I think it would really work because it would bring people together and doing something that we can also help not just our community and the environment by growing plants and doing all these green things. So it really helped. It's a good answer. We can move on to the next one. How might we show adults, including the police, how to be restorative? The same thing that I said before, going along with Martin Luther King. I mean, I used to always think like Malcolm X, how Malcolm X just was like brute force, like. But now seeing what that does in the riots and everything going on in the world just because of police brutality, I don't think that's a good idea. So, because the harm that they're doing to us, we're just showing it back, and that's never going to change. So, showing them just love, like if they do anything to us, just show love towards it. It would really change and make the police be like, why are we doing this? This doesn't make any difference. So, it's just showing them what Martin Luther King fought for and what he believed in. That's just what we should do, not anything else.
Thank you, Ray, for your answer. I agree with some things you say. I put what we could do, show adults and some police. Answer was kill them with kindness. And I said, just like always be happy, wear a smile, and I'll say go down to police stations and try to help out around there. Try to show them that there are people out there who care, and some of us don't think that all the cops out there are corrupted, and so some of us still believe that y'all are here to protect and serve. So that's my answer.
Sure. For me, I think the police can be restorative. It's just the way they train, and I think the way they train is based on police brutality. I think they just bring it to the community, and I say that why they think they're doing their job, but the way they train, they bring it out. I think that's right.
That is quite all right. Thank you for sharing. So I just jotted down, it seems like we're on the same theme that we can't fight back violently because that just will lead to more violence, right? And we've seen that, like, when people have fought back violently, that just escalates the situation. And I think, like, it's not just the police thing, gangs too, right? If a gang shoots at one gang, doesn't the other gang shoot back? Like, it escalates and it gets out of control really quickly. Same with, like, a fight. Or same, like, if somebody's, like, spreading rumors or something, like, it just escalates. So we have to have that ability to have a safe place to talk. And the thing that I wrote down initially is that the most powerful thing that we've had in the circles is when you guys have shared your hopes and dreams and your fears. And that's allowed me to share my hopes and dreams and my fears. And I think that's the thing that we need to do, is provide a safe place. So if we can get some officers to come in a circle, because I know the LAPD wants to start using restorative justice for minor crimes instead of jail, maybe we can have that discussion and start to see, like, what are you scared of? Are you scared of being shot? Are you scared? It's like that NPR interview that we listened to, where that psychologist had interviewed police that were scared of young black men in LA. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing that there are fears that we never thought of that, right? We were thinking more, it's, and I think there's some truth to it. There's the training, militarized training, but we're also thinking that there's fear. There's fear. It's a tough job. It's a scary job, right? And I, for me, this is the most important thing for me to do. I live in fear, and I know this is based on my own experiences. The first week of summer last year, I got that phone call at like 4 a.m. telling me that my student was shot. So you are good people, and I want to restore the community so that nothing like that could ever happen to you, your children, your grandchildren. It's safe.
Thank you, Ms. Yusuf, for sharing.
So I think what we're going to do now is we're going to wrap up this. This was an introduction to what we're going to do now. So what I'll do is excuse myself. I'll go change the slide so you have the text for round 4. We're going to go to round 4, and what we'll do, Tian, you're the timekeeper. How many minutes do you think we need to write for the first question? 3? You want to do 3? So Dion's going to set and watch the time. And so Ray, we'll do maybe 3 minutes to look at the text, and then 3 minutes to do the first writing, and then we'll just go around, okay? You guys know the protocol. You guys know the deal.
We're going to start on round 4. How can this be made right? By looking at the pictures and the text we saw just now. What is our solution, and what can we do as a class as we can come together? What I put, of course, one thing that we could do is protest. Like, just go out into the different areas that we are not a part of, but we want to get closer to them so we can be part of combine 2 communities together, And one thing that we were talking about earlier is that try to get the police to come and talk to us about certain things. But, if they don't, one thing that I was thinking, if they don't come, or if they come before anything else, like once we graduate and such, we can go to them, just keep pushing it so they can come to us, or that we can go to them. It'll be easier like that, so we won't have to wait that long, or so it can be like a thing that we can never do. So if they say no, or if they say yes but they never say what day, we just go straight to them because they said yes. So
Thank you, Ray. I appreciate it too. I put how this could be made right and what we could do as a class is I believe we could have harm circles. Like, we'll have to start small, so I would say, like, start with people like victims of police brutality, then go up higher to the police itself, and have the community come together where it's the community, the mayor, and all the victims to work out a solution.
But the only way this can be made right is we need a what was that they called Martin Luther King? Because he wasn't scared. You know, he wasn't scared about the police coming and all that. He was still gonna walk. You know.
Martyr?
A martyr leader, yeah.
So he's somebody that's willing to be hurt or die for it. So it's you.
Yeah. That's right.
Thank you for the answer. David. How can this be made right? One thing that I wrote down for, say, we have a good discussion, how we're having now, with the police that are scared or even the ones that are not, just to show them they shouldn't be scared of us. We're all part of the same community, so we should all come together. Thank you for your answer. How can this be made right? The only way that this could be made right the only thing that should be made right is to make the communities come together and have the cops discuss about what kind of like what Jonathan was saying, like do they like us or
Thank you for that. I'll mention something everybody else was on. If we have a discussion or something, the main thing was just for the police to stop doing what they're doing.
So I agree. I agree that we need to have a discussion, and I think you guys have all sort of hit on it, is that there needs to be a discussion. We can't let it just continue to go. And I liked your ideas about having harm circles, about having community circles, and bringing everyone together. We have to be the people to do that. We can't wait for somebody else to do it. And I know it would be great if Martin Luther King was going to walk through that door. We have to make the change. We have to do that. And we can use him as inspiration. We can use his message as inspiration. We need to do it. And I love Ray's idea of, we can't get the police here, we're going to them. And that's the mentality we have to have, is we're going to you. When can it work? We will be there. We will show up.
Thank you, Ms. Souza. So, for question 2, do we take a couple minutes or do we just?
Yeah, take a minute.
We're going to take a couple minutes. Dion, how many minutes do we take for the question 2? 1 minute? Cool. When we're done with the question, you're going to ask the question, right?
Give an example of how this solution has worked in other instances. I put that these circles, it helps our class, and it helps get to everybody's opinion, because it's not just one person's opinion. Everybody gets heard, and nobody's like nobody has no bad idea. It's just everybody's opinion.
My example of how this solution has worked in other instances was I put Martin Luther King. He was a leader. He was willing to get hurt or die for his people's freedom. And I think that's what we need.
Thank you for your I agree agree with what Hassan and David were saying, but how it works in our class and how we can use it in the community outside of school, but it might take more time, more people that we have to talk to.
I agree with Hassan and David, and the circles do helps work in our society. And like what David was saying, that Martin Luther King has died for our freedom. I agree.
But getting into the circles does help us, like whatever we're going through.
So I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about protesting and wanting a leader, and I think that we can all exhibit those qualities. We can mirror the actions of somebody like Martin Luther King. We can act, right? We can go where things are not working. We can put ourselves in harm's way. We can do those things. And I think we can commit to each other that we can do, maybe not put ourselves in harm's way immediately, or at all. maybe not that. But we can figure out a way to go and make a difference, right? But that's something that we need to agree on as a group. So I think that question has given me a couple of questions that we can follow up with later, and that we can then start to game plan where we're going to go with this. One of the things that I was thinking, and we would go into more of like the restorative practices and more of what they're all about. There are countries that use these circles instead of prison, or use these in prisons. So rather than sentence somebody for life for being addicted to drugs, or for something that we might think is a little bit minor, they would have a circle. There's a powerful video that I have, and if we extended this session to next week, I'd be able to show you, of someone who's killed someone else in a circle, repairing the harm that he's done, not just to the person he's killed, but the family, and making it right. It's a powerful tool, and it puts everybody, sort of like Rasan was saying, everybody's equal. Every opinion is heard. There's no wrong opinion. We're building our opinion, right? This is why we put everything into the middle of the circle. We're building it together.
Thank you, Mr. Yusuf, for that awesome answer. What I put is, the more we do, the more we get. By that is like, the more people join what we're trying to do, the more we can get by, like, more peace, less brutality. So that's what we get. We get less brutality. We will, the more we talk about everything, we will for sure accomplish what we're trying to do, what we're trying to finish, which is stop police brutality.
Discuss the pros and cons of your solution. I put the pros of the solution, which is a circle, is that we all can listen to each other and we're all equal. I believe the cons may be is that somebody might say something that might upset somebody. And I believe the con may be is somebody like speak out when somebody else is talking.
Thank you for sharing. The pro is to get the community to change con is being stopped.
Can you go a little bit further with that for me?
For the con,
Yeah.
is being stopped. Like say if we protest, police come, and other people might not be joining, or they don't agree with what we say.
Do you mind if I respond? Because Dion just actually says that there's a real fear too, right? It could be you start the protest and there's like a physical cost, right? It could be something. That's one of the things that we looked at. So I want to go back to what you were saying about Martin Luther King, though. What would Martin Luther King have done?
Protest.
He would have kept going, right? So that needs to be what we think. That needs to be our mentality, is that we're going to keep going, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you for your answer. I agree with Rashawn and David that there is going to be like problems when you're starting to protest. It might go on good. Sometimes it might be something in your way. They might go wrong. Thank you for your answer. For pros, I put that we need to bring families and communities together. And for cons, I put we need to tend to stop using violence towards other people.
For pros, I'll put help people, or not just other people, but yourself. Helps you talk about whatever's going on in your life. And cons, I'll put some people might not agree, or like Rashawn said, somebody might talk to somebody else.
Great answer. I love what you guys said. I mean, we know it's a space to solve problems, and I think we recognize that the fear is, well, what if somebody violates that trust? What if somebody violates that circle? And I think one of the things that we've done, and we haven't talked a lot about it, is we started small, right? We started small, so we built that trust, so that if something does happen, somebody's having a bad day, something traumatic happens, even if the circle process is upset, you then have that relationship to go back to. That you then, it's built that foundation. So I think that to me has been the big takeaway too, is that like, things happen in life. We're not always at our best selves, but if we have that connection, if something goes wrong, we can still come back to what's strong. I put pros, that it's a safe place to talk. I feel safe when we talk in these circles. I think that it'd be a safe place and an environment where there's not a gun drawn, there's not people screaming and yelling. It could be a place to have a dialogue with police officers that's safe, that's calm, that's secure, so that we can truly hear and be heard. I think the cons, for me, is figuring out who we need to reach out to. And maybe it's not a con, but maybe it's an obstacle to figuring out what we need to do. Do we reach out to gang leaders? Do we reach out to cops that are behind a desk, or do we need to target the police that are on the streets? We're generations that have been raised by our mothers and grandmothers. Do we reach out to the mothers and grandmothers of the people that are gang leaders? Is that who we involve in this? Who do we involve? That's an obstacle that I see. So all of this, like the pros and cons, leads us into question 4. So it feels like we can now, we know what our situation is. What's going to be the argument against it? And how are we going to combat that?
Thank you, Mr. Caesar, for that. Good answer. One of the pros that I put is the more we do this, the more we get more people into what we're trying to do, is that once we're done and once we finish what we're doing, we will have a better life for the next generation. They won't have to deal with all this dramatic and violence that we're going through. like, I know it's not like a lot, but like what Martin Luther King did, he died to give people a voice, and he died to give people freedom and same level of education. We got that, but then we also, we need to do more so we can actually finish what he tried to start.
We have to describe our own words. What's the argument against your solution? I believe the argument against the solution will be like somebody. There are some people out there who are afraid to be heard, so they're gonna want to keep to themselves, and they're not gonna feel like sharing.
Thank you for sharing. My answer is a little close to Rashawn's. I said, well, in my own words, the argument against my solution would be someone will be like he said, they'll be scared to speak up and stand up for the community. Or somebody will say it's not going to work.
I agree. Thank you for your answer. I agree with the David and Rashawn saying that some people might not want to speak up because they might think they'll be threatened by some other people. And they might get scared of saying things because of that. Maybe it might just be something else. My argument would be kind of like what Jonathan was saying. Like, some people don't want to speak up because, like he said, some people might get jealous. Threatened, yeah. And just don't want to say anything.
I don't really have anything to say, but kind of like the same thing you said, people will probably be angry.
So I think those are valid fears, right?
Yeah.
That it's scary to share your feelings, and it's scary to take part in a discussion that could lead to you changing your own mind or changing your own actions. That's scary. And I can tell you, like, in the conversations I've had, even with adults, like, it's the same thing. Those fears exist. So when I'm confronted with that, and when adults tell me they're scared of circles, I think back to when we started. We didn't dive right into feelings. We didn't dive right into harm or what's happened, like when some of our classmates have gotten into trouble or been hurt. We started with, what's your favorite bear? Right? I mean, we started with, how famous is Jonathan Menueza going to be? More famous than cats? Yes. That's what we started with, right?
Yeah.
We didn't start necessarily with trying to address police brutality, trying to address immigration. We didn't start there, but we got there, right? So this is why the work we're doing is important, is we're the model. We can go take this work to other people and show them it's okay. And one of the things that I think is important too is, it's okay if you don't share in the circle too, right? You're still part of the community. Like, it's okay. It's okay if you want to pass. You're still part of the community.
Thank you, Mr. Issa. Good answer. One argument from my solution, one argument that might come up, the same thing, they might want to, they're scared that their voice might not be heard, but at the same time, they're not they're not trying to die. Because in a protest, something might happen, riot, somebody's going to get hurt, somebody will die. They're not trying to do that. So I think that's one reason why they are scared of expressing their voice, expressing themselves into the community. Because they're just trying to live for themselves. That's one of the arguments that will maybe come up because of that.
Sure. Do you guys want to take a couple minute break?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's take like a 5-minute break. Well, let's take a break to like 11:35. And then I'll frame question 5. David will take 6. And then what we'll do is we're not going to have time to finish the writing, but we can at least start that part, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Looking through all the pictures and everything we've seen and our solutions, what kind of things would we come up with what we predict after this? If we can get more people, and like we saw in the pictures, we saw police officers also joining the protest. I predict that the solution even with police officers and the citizens, that this thing will work, that we will change the next generation. The next generation will be safer than what it is today. Would you still like to go ahead or do?
Yeah, I'll go back. Thank you. That was great. It really, and that's one of the things that I didn't even pick up on those, the text that we were looking at, is that those are young people that are demonstrating. Those are young people that are making this change. So it's all about making the world safer for the generations to come, and we have to start it now. So I absolutely believe and can infer that we can make that difference, and I predict that us in this room are going to start that process, okay?
Forgot.
Thank you, Ms. Visa and Ray, for your answers. Based on this evidence, I can refer to all the pictures we looked at. If it was probably our solution probably to it, I can infer that we could become more powerful, our meanings will be heard and will be louder to the crowd there is. And I predict that the solution will help the better generation, like what Ray said.
Thank you for sharing. Based on the evidence, I can infer that someone will stand up for the community and predict that my solution will come and everything will be regular, like when I was a kid.
Based on the evidence, I can infer pictures that not all cops are bad, and they can actually come and connect with us and help us solve this problem in the future, because they can show that the cops are willing to come and show the other cops that you shouldn't be scared of the people around you, and it'll end up solving the problems in the future. Based on the evidence from the picture, I can infer that there will be a change with the police by making a better connection, and I can predict that my solution will be solved this problem by protesting to make a better future.
I really liked what Jonathan said, how the white police officers in this other text that we were reading, that we heard, was that the therapist, how she said that most of the police officers in the force that are white are scared of the black community. And just seeing these pictures of a white officer joining the movement tells the other officers that they shouldn't even be scared of just this. This is just that they're scared of them. It really shows. It talks. It really is. It's loud. That's what I think it is. It's a really good what they're trying to say. So that was really good what you said, Johnny.
Awesome. Great job. So can we, David, can you start us with question 6? And instead of writing it, can we just speak from the heart on this one? So that's like, what connections can we make to, will you go ahead?
What connections can we make to our lives, the world, and other texts that deepen our meaning? Can I get a comeback?
Yeah. Nice pass. Nice pass.
Connected to my life because it was sometimes that police were not always bad, but sometimes talk to me. Like,
John, do you mind if I ask you a clarifying question? It might not be a question, but I remember you telling me that you've also had negative experience with cops too, right? So you've had, can you talk a little bit about that? Because you've had both sides of it, right? Can you talk a little bit about both sides of it?
do I talk about bad one first? Okay. The bad thing I had with the cops was that I was walking out of school, and one of my friends passed by, and he cursed them, and then I cursed back, and the police, well, not the police actually, but it was like the CST, the one from the school police that was here a year ago. They stopped me, and they thought that I was doing something bad, or I don't know, they had got me. They put me back, and he was checking my pockets and everything. Then he had my hands on my back, and he was kind of like threatening me, saying that if you move or anything, I'll pull your arm, like break your arm. I could break your arm. And yeah, that was great. And afterwards, he had let me go. Yeah. And the good experience that I had was when I was outside with my friends at this school. Well, I was at his house, and we're outside, and the police passed by and was like talking to us. They were just outside hanging out. And the police passed by, and it was cool. He was like talking to us about what you guys doing, and I was talking. I can't connect this to my life because it once happened to my dad. He got stopped by one cop, and they just arrested him. I'm not sure for whatever reason, but they just arrested him for no reason.
So I think that there are a lot of connections to be made, and I think the personal ones are probably the most profound because you've all experienced both the good and the bad of that relationship. I think that we've talked about it, we've read about it, we've listened to stories about it, we watched the video, and we've seen pictures. So we've tied it into like Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, we've tied it into Freddie Gray, Eric Garner. We've tied it into the world around us and how it's affected other people as well. So I think the connections are everywhere for us. So what I'm going to do, Ray, did you get a chance to wrap up?
Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is we're going to flip to the next sheet, and we're going to take 5 minutes. We've had a really thorough discussion, and this has been a good way for us to revisit the militarization, the response after 9/11 to our police becoming more militarized and getting more weapons, the brutality we've seen. And we've been able to revisit that and now come up with our solutions or our action plans. So I want you guys to take 5 minutes and we'll write a summary of what we've come up with. So this is going to be what you believe this discussion has been about. And then what we'll do is we'll compare and make meaning to revise it, okay? Let's go 5 minutes.
I appreciate everybody's answer, especially for Jonathan, Hassan for sharing. I believe this can connect to the world in our life I believe it connect to our life because the solution I put is that we practice every day in this class. And I remember once I had an experience with a cop. I just know it would have been different if I was in a different community, but that put me over because back then when used to be a troublemaker, I broke somebody's window, and I remember how I was just scared and like the police officer had told me like if I stop crying and if I would sit down, he said that he could break my arm because like I wouldn't listen. And I just know that day it was scary, and I told myself I was never gonna do nothing like that again.
And that's not solving the problem, right? That's like terrifying you to the point where you don't want to have another interaction with a police officer. That's not repairing that relationship. So I think you would now go into interactions with police wondering if something like that could happen. So we need to have that dialogue so that you don't have that fear. Thank you for sharing that, because it's not easy to share stuff like that. You guys are strong. So let's take 5 minutes, write our summary, you can integrate what you've heard from other people too, right? Other stories have been very helpful as well. All of this information can be used. By sharing in a circle, we'll share our summaries. And then what we'll do is have a discussion about the highlights of what we heard, because we'll probably hear some things that are common. Hassan will be the summarizer and write down the highlights. And what we'll do is have that discussion so we can revise and come up with a more refined paragraph. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.